You ever have one of those mornings where you just know something's about to go sideways the second you wake up? That was me, Tuesday in Riverside Heights, our picture-perfect little suburb where the lawns look like they've been photoshopped and every mailbox has to be the same exact shade of beige. All I wanted was to sip my coffee, ignore the stack of overdue bills, and figure out how to sound less desperate on my resume after getting laid off 3 weeks back. But then came the pounding so loud and insistent, I thought maybe the SWAT team was at my door, except it was 8:30 in the morning, and around here the only thing more aggressive than a SWAT team is our HOA president, Karen Whitfield. Now, Karen isn't just any HOA president. She's the self-appointed guardian of the neighborhood soul, always lurking, always watching, armed with her so-called master key, which she brandishes like a badge. Through the frosted glass, I could see her business suit hair pulled so tight it looked painful, already waving that key like she was about to serve a warrant. "Marcus Chen, open this door." "Official HOA inspection," she hollered like she was reading me my rights. And I just stood there frozen thinking, is this really my life? 42, laid off, dodging a middle-aged suburban dictator before breakfast. "You planted sunflowers without HOA approval," she declared just as I peeked through the peephole. "This is a violation." I almost laughed. I'd jumped through every hoop, filled out the forms, waited the weeks, used only the approved vendor. But Karen's gift was finding a problem where none existed, especially if it had my name on it. She started fiddling with the lock, probably expecting her master key to work, but after my wife Linda passed, I'd changed all the locks. Not because I had anything to hide, just after losing Linda, the last thing I wanted was strangers waltzing into my house, rules or no rules. The scraping of her key against my deadbolt was weirdly satisfying. If looks could kill, the way Karen glared at my front door would have had the coroner on speed dial. "You are obstructing official HOA business," she shrieked, snapping photos of my porch like she was building a case for a true crime documentary. And that's when Beverly Martinez walked by with her ancient poodle, Mr. Whiskers Beverly, who knows everything that happens on this block before it even happens. "Karen, honey, what are you doing?" she called out, phone already out and recording, voice sweet as sugar but sharp as a tack. Karen puffed up like a puffer fish. "This resident is in clear violation. I have legal authority." Beverly, not missing a beat, fired up a live stream Facebook, of course. Comments started pouring in, some folks defending Karen's crusade for property values, others asking if she'd finally lost it for good. Me, I stayed hidden, anxiety climbing my ribs. After Linda died, I stopped going to HOA meetings. She was the only one who could sweet-talk Karen out of a meltdown. Now I was just waiting for the other shoe to drop. And boy, did it drop. "Karen called the cops. I need police now," she hissed into her phone, making sure Beverly's live stream audience heard every word. 20 minutes later, Officer Jake Morrison rolled up, calm as you please. He's lived a few streets over for years, knows the whole HOA circus. Karen launched into her act, waving that master key, insisting on her right to bust in and protect the community. Morrison just blinked, took out his notepad and said, "Ma'am, I'm going to need to see documentation for this authority." His tone was polite, but you could hear it. He wasn't buying it. Karen doubled down, dropping names and hinting at all her high-up connections, city officials, the mayor's office. Morrison just flipped a page in his notebook. "Funny. According to my records, you've called us 7 times about my own car parked in front of my house. My dad. Judge Morrison had to warn you for harassment." Karen went pale. Beverly's live feed blew up. "Wait," she called the cops on a cop, and suddenly the whole neighborhood was tuned in. Karen, not to be outdone, started her own live stream, ranting about police corruption, accusing Morrison of protecting me out of a personal vendetta. She even claimed my son Tyler was running some kind of fake emergency responder scam with a counterfeit badge. You can't make this stuff up. Just then, Tyler stepped out on the porch, badge and all cool as a cucumber. "Good morning, Officer Morrison," he said, and you could hear the pride in his voice. He offered to call his supervisor, pointed out that all his credentials were online, and just stood there, unflappable. Morrison nodded. "That badge is legit, ma'am." Karen started to unravel, her voice rising, her accusations getting wilder. "This is a conspiracy. They're all in on it." That's when Morrison, flipping through his notes, decided he'd had enough. "Mrs. Whitfield, your name comes up on 911 calls 23 times in 8 months, 19 classified as harassment. That's a record, all right, but not the kind you want. The comments on Beverly's feed were savage neighbors calling for her resignation, a couple even asking if anyone had a straitjacket handy. Then Derek Stone showed up, our resident lawyer, usually a background character at HOA meetings, now carrying a thick manila folder. Karen, the board, held an emergency vote last night. 7-1, you're out, effective immediately. Karen spluttered, "You can't do that." But Derek had all the signatures, even quoted the bylaw she'd helped write. For the first time, Karen looked lost, her authority melting away in the face of actual rules she couldn't bend. But Derek wasn't done. He started listing the evidence security footage of Karen entering homes when people were gone, planting violations, even stealing mail. He announced a class action suit, 12 families. Beverly's stream nearly crashed from all the shocked emojis. Karen's facade cracked. She whispered something about protecting the community after her daughter Sarah died, a moment of real pain flickering across her face. But then she snapped right back, blaming everyone for being too weak. Derek produced more documents, recordings, reports, CPS files, from false accusations Karen had filed against neighbors with kids. Even Morrison's jaw tightened at that. False reports involving children. That's a felony, Mrs. Whitfield. The crowd was done with her. Even her loyalists turned away. You'd think that'd be the end, but Karen still had one last card. That night, she bombarded every agency she could: code enforcement, fire department, health inspector, IRS, claiming our house, and half the neighborhood were crawling with violations. Next morning, 3 government vehicles lined our driveway. Each inspector shook their head, apologized for the wasted time, and told me flat out they were flagging Karen's complaints for review as harassment. Her Facebook tirades just made it worse, hundreds of comments, nearly all calling for help for her. Later that day, Beverly brought cookies and an update. Karen was now live streaming from her car, accusing random neighbors of everything from tax fraud to drug dealing. Even Tyler was in the crosshairs, accused of being a security risk. Morrison returned with the news Karen's barrage of false reports had crossed into felony territory, cyberstalking, harassment, defamation. He advised us to file for a restraining order. As dusk fell, Karen, completely untethered, stormed Beverly's house with a baseball bat, screaming threats. Beverly coolly recorded everything, warning her she was making it worse. Tyler, trained for emergencies, called 911 with textbook precision. Backup arrived. Karen was found sobbing on Beverly's lawn, clutching a photo of her lost daughter, swinging between remorse and rage. You people just don't understand sacrifice. As Morrison read her Miranda rights, Karen hurled every wild accusation she could muster. Marcus isn't a real citizen. Tyler's badge is fake. Beverly's a criminal, but this time no one was buying it. Handcuffs on. She looked at us, something almost like relief crossing her face. "You have no idea what you've done," she whispered. Her arrest was the beginning of what the neighborhood now calls the reckoning. Evidence piled up: break-ins, planted violations, surveillance. The DA pressed multiple felony charges. Beverly was elected HOA president on a promise of transparency, no more master keys, no more midnight inspections. Tyler got a commendation and landed a real job offer. Me, I found work again, finally slept through the night, and realized the neighborhood didn't see us as targets anymore, but as survivors. Karen pled out 18 months in county fines and a lifetime ban from HOA boards. Her house sold fast. The new neighbors brought cupcakes and stories about how grateful they were for a normal, nosy but not crazy HOA. Funny thing is, those sunflowers that started it all, they're still blooming, defiant and perfect. You know, people ask if I'd ever join another HOA, and I just laugh. Real authority isn't about keys or threats. It's about serving the people who live beside you. Ever had an HOA nightmare or a neighbor who just wouldn't quit? Drop a comment below. Let's hear your wildest stories. And if you want more tales where karma finally shows up, hit that subscribe. Next week's story: a landlord tries to evict a family not knowing his tenant's married to a housing attorney. It's going to be wild. Until then, stand up for what's right. Sometimes the best revenge is just letting people show who they really are.